I sold my DJI Air 2S in preparation of the Mini 3 Pro, including the smart controller that will be released here shortly. In relation to that, I made a video to show you how to prepare your old DJI drone for sales. There's some steps that you need to go through, like the obvious one, deleting everything that you have on your SD card, but also you need to unbind the aircraft from your DJI account and stuff like that. So I decided to put this video up in different Facebook groups, and especially in the Air 2S group, I got a lot of comments about my decision of selling my Air 2S. Even though this was not the intention with the video, that was just to show you that any drone that you want to sell, you want to do some preparations to make it ready for the new buyer. So I was kind of surprised with all the comments challenging my decision of getting rid of my Air 2S. But it's actually fairly simple. I had a few considerations that I went through before I made the final call. I actually hate selling my old drones and I kept most of them. But I'm also not blind, because legislation is kind of pushing every drone above 250 grams to a place where it's getting kind of a hassle to fly it in the future. After January 1st, 2024, any drone above 250 grams that doesn't carry a C mark or class identification label will be pushed outside the city, only being allowed to fly 150 meters away from urban areas, and definitely not over people. The weight of the Air 2S, that is 575 grams, where it is under 250 grams for the Mini 3 Pro. That definitely puts some limitations on a drone like that. I have sort of the old drone certificate, so I can fly under STS03 here in Denmark, so I would probably be able to use it. And then I took a hard look in the mirror and came to the conclusion that I rarely fly the Air 2S. Even though it's a fantastic drone, I'm not trying to put that down at all. But I also need to be pragmatic. If I don't use this kind of electronics, why not put it in circulation for others to use it? This will be significantly more difficult to sell the Air 2S when you get further along and the legislation tightens. When I sometimes do paid jobs for clients, I never use the Air 2S because I use my trusted Mavic 2 Pro for that, because I have a really good camera on that drone, as well as a variable aperture that will give me some options that I don't get with the Air 2S. But I also considered selling my Mavic 2 Pro, but I decided to keep it because I saw the price that I could get for this drone, and that is not very impressive. So I'd rather keep it and use it for the more professional line of work. It makes perfectly sense for me to upgrade to Mini 3 Pro. And the reason why I call it an upgrade is because I need to watch out for content that I put on the YouTube channel. And definitely, if you look at the split among you viewers here on the channel, the majority of you are Mini 2 owners, and you will likely also, at least a fraction of you, be Mini 3 owners. Every time that I put out content about the more expensive or heavier drones, it gets significantly less views compared to if I put out something about the Mini 2 and hopefully also the Mini 3. There is no doubt that the Mini 3 will be the most important drone from DJI, especially for European customers. You are basically getting 90% of what you have with the Air 2S inside a sub 250 gram package. You're getting the sensors, front, rear and bottom obstacle avoidance. You are getting a camera sensor that is 0.77 inch compared to 1 inch from the Air 2S. You are getting a flat D-Log color profile. You're getting a chance to do 48 megapixel pictures in both JPEG and RAW. You're getting all the advanced flight modes like Spotlight, Active Track, and all the shebang that we know from the Air 2S. So the gap between these two drones are quite minor. The Air 2S owners would say that the bigger sensor always wins. And of course that is true under equal conditions, but the conditions are not equal here, because the aperture of the Air 2S is 2.8, where it's only 1.7 with the new Mini 3 Pro. That means that you will get the double amount of light into the camera sensor compared to the Air 2S. And that would definitely make a difference in low light situations. I know you will be capable of getting 5.4K at 30 FPS with the Air 2S, where the maximum resolution of the Mavic 3 Pro would likely be 4K 60 FPS, which is something that the Air 2S can do as well. So you need to ask yourself, do you need that extra resolution in your video production? Especially when you think about the more advanced features of the Air 2S is not available if you film in 5.4K. So in my world, the biggest difference between these drones and picking one over the other would be the wind resistance of the drone. I would expect the Mini 3 to be pretty capable in wind, especially with the new gimbal construction. I would expect that the tilt angle that you can achieve with the drone is much higher than it is compared to the Mini 2. And the Mini 2 is actually doing a pretty good job in the wind as well. It's no comparison to the Air 2S that one is super stable in high winds. But how would that actually help you if you're not allowed to fly in the area that you plan? But regardless of what improvements that we're getting with the Mini 3, I would still expect the Air 2S to be a better performer in high wind. So if high wind is your thing, then you might want to stick to your Air 2S, or at least keep it. If we look at the configurations available, you will be able to buy the Mini 3 Pro standalone without controller, as it's supposed to work with the Mini 2 controller. You can get the standalone drone with its own controller. You can get it with the Fly More combo, where you get the 3 additional batteries and the back and all that stuff. And then you can get a configuration with a smart controller. You're getting the new DJI RC, not the RC Pro. That also goes for the Air 2S, but that is the old version 1 smart controller. And if we compare the pricing between these two kits, it looks something like this. And what's most remarkable here, if we go for the full kit, including the smart controllers, there is a price difference of $500 approximately between the Air 2S with the old smart controller and the Mini 3 with the new DJI RC. And if we do a fast rough comparison against the size, judging from the images that is leaked so far, you would see that the screen size of the new DJI RC is equal to the old smart controller. I picked up a comment stating that the Mini 2 has problems in high altitude because it can simply not create enough lift force with the surface area of the props. I have no way of verifying that, but that sounds plausible to me. Maybe my good friend Sean Oz, living 12,000 feet above sea level, would know that, and hopefully he will comment below. All I can say now, the damage is done. So hit me in the comments below and tell me if the decision was right or wrong, or if you plan to keep your Air 2S and buy the Mini 3 as an addition. Even though the pricing is a bit steep, it's actually crazy that you for $1,250 can get a drone with all those capabilities, including a smart controller. I'm definitely sold on that idea. In fact, I've decided to get rid of all my plus 250 gram drones because it's simply getting too complicated to use those drones going forward, and it will limit my flexibility and creativity when I decide to go out and film something. Getting a sub 250 gram drone makes it so much easier just to grab your bag and go head out and then figure out what you're gonna film when you're on location. This is the primarily reason why I'm super excited. And I'm looking so much forward to produce content around this drone for you here on the channel. I hope you liked this video. If you did, then feel free to give it a like. If you didn't like it, feel free to press the dislike button twice. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you around.